You just love little dogs. Oh well, we'll be able to wear him in a minute over the sound of the compressor. Right, so before we get started today, I've been shopping. Let's see what we got. Right, first things first. Went to Harrogate in Yorkshire yesterday, and went to an MGB car show. Really well attended. There was loads of cars. Anyway, obviously the usual stalls there selling MGB bits. So bought a few things for the for this one. So first of all, let's see what we got. There you go. Rear axle saddle plates. The ones on the car are probably just a bit rusty, but for £10 a pair, it's worth paying £10 to save the hour or two and the paint to actually fix the ones that's on it. So yeah, pair of saddle plates. Got some rubber bits and pieces. These are for the bottom of the quarter lights when they go onto the car. There are a pair. They are handed, 1 or 2. Obviously you see what that is, MGB GT windscreen seal filler strip. I got all the rubbers the other day from MGB Hive, you saw probably in the last video. Can't remember if there was a filler strip, but for £3.50 I've now definitely got one, so when it comes to fit it, it's a no-brainer. What else have we got? Okay, this is really something for the future, but this is obviously going to be a Sebring replica, so the interior is going to have 1 or 2 more panels in it that it probably didn't have, what it wouldn't have had when it was a normal road car. Easily accessible fuses for the lights, various other bits and pieces I'm going to put on the car. So with that in mind, I bought some of these, which are panel mounted screw-in fuse mounts. There we go. So it's easy to get at the main fuses, protecting some of the lights and things. So if they ever blow, you can check it in the dash. Yeah, so a couple of bags of those. Oh, 3 bags of them. Fair enough. They weren't expensive, literally penny, well not pennies, 1 or 2 quid. And again, just some inline fuse holders for other bits and pieces I'm going to install on the car. Okay, and these are for the, actually these are for another job as well, but these are for the more modern blade type fuse. There we go. And these are actually waterproof as well, so you can actually use them outside under the bonnet or whatever. You can see the fuse obviously slots into there, and that eventually pushes on and makes it nice and waterproof, so these are excellent. So obviously a different type of fuse to the old fuse, but I've got quite a few of these more modern fuses, so yeah, and they're cheap as well. I think it was like 2 quid for 5 or 3 quid for 5 or something. So they'll be in my electrical spares drawer. What else have I bought? Some of these, because I'm fed up scratching into metal to mark it, and these are just very, very thin marking CD, DVD pens. We don't really draw on CDs and stuff anymore, do we? But anyway, this is just for drawing out things on steel for when I'm marking it out. Should have got them a long time ago. But yeah, they were going cheap on eBay, which is marvellous. So there you are, box of them. One more thing which is slightly more interesting, not interesting, but kind of indicates a job which is coming up for me to do, is this. And as you haven't even opened it yet, but as I probably mentioned before, the car's only got 46,000 I think miles on it, so there's nothing really worn out as such. Okay, the rubber stuff's going to be rotten, but mechanical bearings and things, they should be fine. They should be. I'm mostly going to check everything, and I am going to be replacing various seals and stuff, but I'm going to have to work on the back axle, which means taking the rear springs off. When I take the rear springs off, I'm going to service them. I'm not going to buy new ones because there's no point. They're rusty, but they're not knackered, and the car's not sagging or anything because it's done nothing, you know. It's only 40,000 miles. So all things being equal, I'm going to dismantle the springs, clean them all up. Obviously, I'm going to paint them. I'm not just going to paint them with Hammerite though and glue them all together. They have to be able to slide as the springs go up and down. The leaves need to be able to slide between each other. And one of the things you can use to lubricate that, I hope that this is actually what I think it is. I think that consensus of opinion is that you use chain wax. I think that's okay. It's not very expensive. It means the lubricant will stay there and shouldn't attract too much crap, because you're not just going to chuck a load of grease and oil on it, because it will just clog with muck pretty soon. You know, it's the same reason you don't use grease generally on a lathe, is because that would get full of filings and things. But motorbike chain wax, well, I mean, it's in the environment it was meant to be in, so that's what I'm going to use to lubricate between the leaves. But that's to come up, I think, possibly in 2 videos time. The work's already started on it, but it's, you know, a couple of videos time for the films. And the final thing you've probably seen is sitting at the back. We got some MGB splash seals, and there you go, down the splash seal at the rear of the front wings. And that's it. That's the unboxing for today with all the bits and pieces. I'm going to file all these and put them in a box so I know exactly where they are with all the rest of the little bits and pieces. And we'll get on to do some work. I think we'll do some, do you know what? I think we'll do some welding today. Fancy that. Right, onwards. Right, so finally it's going to come time to put this panel on the top of this wing. I think today we're going to get that thing on the car and get the top of this wing back on. Right, onwards. And obviously on the video this thing looks really quite bad. It had an awful lot of filler on it, but it was basically sound when I took it off the other car. It had a lot of work done on it before, and one of the things was, if you look at the back of this, it had a lip welded all the way along really quite badly, and that lip was welded on top of another lip. Now you couldn't tell that while it was on the car because there was loads of seal and stuff and what have you. So anyway, what I've had to do, I might as well show you the back of this weld first. I've actually put a new strip. I had to take all the old stuff off. I've put a new strip right the way along. What you can see here is the penetration of the welds, and you can see I've seamed it all the way along. Okay, so let's put this over. Here we go. Right, and that was just the final pass of welding before I put this to one side to match it up to the wing, basically. So the idea right now is I'm going to start taking all these welds off, make this as nice as I possibly can. There's a couple of bits where I've blown through here, you can see. Make sure you can see that. Okay, so we'll get some metal into there. We'll look at making this surface non-wavy. It's not necessarily flat because there's a curve on it where it fits the lower wing. And then we'll make that surface up with the car. It's the only surface that I haven't actually matched up to the car. So this is actually longer than it needs to be. That was the idea. So what I'm thinking is that I might even, I'll see how it goes, but I might even tack the rest of the wing in so it's pretty much in position. Cut it on the car so that it absolutely matches what it has to weld up to, and then get the welding done. First things first though, let's grind off these welds and see how we're looking on this edge. Right, cue the music. so this is an intermediate stage now. Most of the big welds have been ground off, as you've seen. I'm just going to go to a finer disc on my air grinder now. Obviously I'm going to need to fill in all these holes. You can see here, I've got some weld behind there. So a fairly rough fitting. Okay. Right, let's see how it's clipped up. Right, now this is getting closer and closer now, this fit. So the idea is that I need to make this as close a fit as I possibly can with this door. I can massage it a little bit with filler at the end, but I'm not having all sorts of thick goo and whatever to make up a door gap. So if I can make this panel more or less flush with this door before I even start adjusting hinges or anything else, then that's what I need to do. So just to show you how I've set this up, I'll put the old door seal inside, and I've checked the old door seal against the new one I bought, and it's exactly the same hardness pretty much as well. So a bit of a door seal there. Okay, so when we shut the door, it comes to rest where it's meant to. Okay, it shuts nice and firm. And I'm going to take a big long ruler and lay it across both panels. It's not going to be perfect, but there's obviously a bend in this panel anyway, because that's the shape of the car. But you can see it's actually pretty close. Okay, and it's the same up there. It's very, very close anyway. And pretty good down here. And one place it doesn't match up is this, and that's actually on the car. That's not something I've done. And you can see that there's actually a big gap there. Okay, now there was a load of filler I took off that back panel, so I imagine they matched it up with filler to make it match that door. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a small cut inside this panel, bring it out to meet the door, and then I'll put a piece in. I'll just show you where we're going to do that. Here we go. So you can see this is the line of the panel here, and then this needs to be brought out slightly. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it right on this corner. I'm going to cut it a little bit in, probably halfway across this panel down to about here. I'll do that with an angle grinder. Open up the top until it matches well there, and then fill in the gap and grind it back. So that should match the door pretty closely then. So I'm going to take the top panel off first before I do that, and then we'll get to cutting this to match the door, because we're pretty close with this panel, almost ready to tack it on. Right, onwards, we're getting there. I don't think that's even welded out properly. I think it's only tacked. I genuinely think that is only tacked down this inside edge. I don't think it's welded on at all. Other than that, that means I can just, in that seam there, I'm just going to take out the weld and see if I can just bring it out, and I could just do it with some plug welds. Right. Some protection. I don't know if BL did this in Infinite Wisdom or what, but I'll just show you. Let's bring you up this. Here we go. So you get the idea, is that that's where the panel was, and that's where it is. You know, I'll put it out to meet the door. But look at that. The bottom part of that panel is not even connected to the panel behind it. See? Absolutely nowhere. That's appalling. Right. So what I'll probably do, I think I'm going to cut that panel out from behind it because it's dead rusty anyway. I'll just go through with the blade, and then I'll just put a seam. I'll put a beader weld all along the inside of there, and I'll keep it nice and solid then. Right, here we go. Now, as you can see, I've actually managed to get behind this panel and clear out the rust behind here, so I can do some plug welds through this. It's a lot better. First thing to do though is obviously get a weld in the top, a tack there just to set that distance, and then we'll look at how we're going to plug weld this. So a little bit of zinc primer I need to put in, drill a few holes there for the plug welds, and then we'll get to welding. There we go, that's the holes in the weld through primer. Just going to leave that to set, then we'll get the welder set up, and I'll put the first tack in the top end of this to set the actual distance in the panel gap. Right, just to remind you what we're doing here, remember before, basically that panel was there, okay? What we've done, we've cut it, we've allowed it to come out now, we eased it a bit, and now it's almost perfectly in line vertically with the door. There. Much better. There we go. Much better. So what I need to do is just put a tack in the top, and then we'll work out how we're going to attach the rest of it. There we go. So that's just a tack in the top of the panel there, just to set the gap. And if I just go back a little bit, just close the door, you can see that now it's almost perfectly flush. Don't forget, we've still got adjustments in the door and a few other bits and pieces we can do to make it perfect, but yeah, a lot better than it was. You can see the gap that I've had to make. So yeah, a little bit more welding, make a little patch to go on there to make it nice, and then we'll continue. Okay, so that's with the tack put in the top of the door, and if I just put a ruler against this to show you, that is a little bit better, I think you'll agree. Nothing that the tiniest little bit of filler can't sort out. It does go out slightly at the bottom, but that's no big deal because the door can twist slightly to sort that out. Okay, a couple of very minor jobs to do inside, and then it's time to pop the wing back on the top and do a little bit of marking out. Okay, so what I've done, I've temporarily just clipped that in with a couple of pair of mold grips. What I've done, I actually did it off camera, I meant to film it but I forgot, was push this edge here up to there and drawn a thin line all the way along. You can see where that line is, possibly just see the faint pen line, I'll show you in a second. And I'm going to joggle it up to that line, which means put a step in it. I'll show you that. I'll put the joggle in, bit of cutting, a little bit of filing, and then we can start throwing some welds on. Magic. And also you'll see, by the way, the top of this door, once this is pushed in, there you go, that'll fit really nicely. And again, I'll just show you that with the ruler there. See, it's very close all the way up now. Tiny bit of filler, that'll be fine. And then obviously this end I need to weld up, and you just need to match it to this door and to exactly what you see on the other side. It's pretty easy. Right, onwards, bit of cutting and a little bit of joggling. Okay, so this is our small filler plate just for this gap here, and that just slots in there. There we go. You can see that will just be welded in and sorted out along the edge. I just need to drill some holes in here and then put some weld through primer on and stuff, and then we'll get it attached. Do that, clean up the back of these welds, or these holes. A little bit of weld through primer. we are almost good to go. And that's that clamped in, ready for welding up. I'll put another clamp down here to absolutely make this absolutely touch that back panel when this top hole's welded. Right, that's the plug welds done. Now I've just got to make sure that this inside face fits, and then I'll bring you back when it's all done. You can see this line that we've marked on this upper wing. Some of it is very close to the edge, as here, which is fine. But what we need is basically 1 centimetre between that line and the edge. So some of this edge is going to need to be trimmed, and then I'll show you the joddler doing its thing. So now we're back to using this, which is the joddling tool, and yeah, we just need to put a step in the panel. So here we go.